Welcome in, Philadelphia, and we have a great treat for you today. I want to talk to you guys about this great device that's going to help change how viewing sports as a blind or visually impaired person in live sporting events or at home will change the landscape. The device, One Court. And I have Bree Razor and Simon from One Court with us today to talk a little bit about the One Court device and where it's available, what it can do, and why you want to get your hands on it. So first off, good morning, Bree and Simon.
Thanks so much for having us, Joe.
Yeah, excited to be on.
So I'm first going to ask, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what got you guys into One Court, like what got you involved in the One Court device. Simon, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I had been friends with one of the co-founders in Thush for a while, and one night in sort of our dining area, he pitched this idea that he was working on, and was curious if I had any interest working on it. And I'd grown up playing sports. I'm a huge sports fan. For me, soccer is my go-to. Big Man United supporter. Grew up playing soccer, but also baseball, course, pick up basketball for fun, even though, I'm definitely not the best at it. But staying active through sports has always been a big part of my life. So any opportunity to work sort of in that industry, I was super excited about. And then, you know, with One Court's mission, sort of extending that to people who may not have access to it now was definitely something that called to me. So when he sort of pitched the idea, it was before it was an official company. So I joined on then, and haven't looked back since. It's been almost, yeah, over 2.5 years, which is crazy for me. Um, but yeah, that's sort of a little bit about me and how I joined One Court.
Bree, how about you?
hmm So I learned about One Court just over a year ago. I had moved down from Vancouver, BC to Seattle to go back to school at the University of Washington. And I had learned about One Court actually through the university's entrepreneurship center. So One Court had competed in a number of student competitions to expand the idea, to grow the idea, and to receive some funding. And so I had learned about them by researching what startups are in the area. And I felt like the perfect opportunity had fallen from the sky because my background lies in sport. So I'd worked in the sports system back in Canada, particularly with Olympic female athletes in volleyball. And then I was studying technology management at the University of Washington. So it brought in that technology piece. And in prior roles, a lot of my work had revolved around building community and improving access on programs. And so those three worlds coming together for a purpose like One Court to make live sports accessible to all felt a little too perfect. So I had actually just reached out to the same co-founder that brought Simon in, and I had said, "Hey, I'm really excited about what you're doing. Super passionate. Is there any way for me to get involved and contribute to the mission?" And then a year and a bit later, I'm here.
So we'll stay with you, Bree, and can you tell our audience what is One Court exactly? Can you give a brief description of what the One Court device is and what it can do?
Yeah, absolutely. So at One Court, we are translating live gameplay into trackable vibrations. So we're able to take the ball position, the player positions, and what's happening on the court or field and translate that into haptic vibrations on the surface of our device. So we're not only creating the hardware, so the actual device itself, but the software as well that's translating that gameplay. And so we're accessing live data feeds from professional leagues like the NBA for basketball or MLB for baseball. And we're able to take what's happening on the field that's captured through cameras or computer vision and translate that in less than a second on the surface of our device. So it's pretty incredible how real time the experience is. And the device itself, we describe it as a tactile tablet or a haptic tablet. So it's about 13 by 7 inches. So pretty similar to your standard tablet, but it's a little bit thicker at 2 inches thick. And so fans will place their hands on the surface of the device, and underneath, they'll feel a tactile map or a tactile interface, and it changes for every court or sport. So the football field is going to feel different than the baseball diamond, and those are raised outlines on a tacky surface. So it's a little bit sticky, a little bit tacky. It's made of silicone, but we chose that material because it makes the vibrations that are happening underneath a lot easier to feel and a lot more specific. So rather than your cell phone vibrating because you get a text message and your whole cell phone vibrates, the OneCourt device is really specific about where the vibrations are being felt on the surface so that a fan knows exactly where the ball is or exactly where the play is.
So I want to just, before I ask my next question, I wanted to just let our audience know if, for people in Philadelphia, if you remember last year during the Home Run Derby and the All-Star break when we were rooting on Alec Baum to win, this is when OneCourt was kind of brought to my attention. And OneCourt, was kind of innovative in my mind. As a person who had sight at one point but loved watching sports and has lost his sight about a little bit more than 3 years ago, being able to still maybe regain some of the information that I had previously enjoyed, taking in when watching a game is so important. And I felt like OneCourt was kind of like a game changer. And so they debuted on a national stage during the MLB All-Star break. So that had to be huge for you guys. Simon, uh, what has been the relationship with the MLB, and what was that whole experience of getting that promotion going for the All-Star break last year?
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience for us. The All-Star game was fantastic. A lot of hard work and late nights leading up to it, but it went well. So that initially actually started out with a T-Mobile relationship. That sort of moment was T-Mobile's Magenta moment, and T-Mobile has a relationship with the MLB, and then we're actually working out of um, T-Mobile's 5G hub, which sort of allows us to have a working space and access to their engineers as we look to sort of incorporate 5G in our device. So T-Mobile saw a fantastic opportunity to demonstrate the wonderful capabilities of 5G, and decided to bring us in to connect with the MLB. So, going from there, we got access to the data. We built out sort of our haptic effects, as well, with sort of that interface. So we could display like the strike zone so users could understand if it was a left-handed or right-handed batter, if it was a pitch was a ball or a strike, where it was in the strike zone. And then obviously, where the ball was going once it was hit. So it was a great time. It was fantastic. It was so cool to see. Actually, during the filming of that ad, they had big screens in front of us, so the individuals who were sighted couldn't actually see what was happening on the field because they needed the screens for lighting. So we relied on the users who were using the OneCourt device to tell us what was happening in the game, and it was a really awesome moment.
That is very cool. Um, Simon, can you talk a little bit more about haptic technology for those people out there that may not know? And I know there are
Mhm.
some people out there that probably think we're speaking Greek. So, can you explain a little bit about what haptic technology is?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So haptics is essentially vibrations. So similar to how Bree put it, you have haptics in your phone, and that's different effects. Like I know the difference between a call versus a text, right? A call, I'll get multiple vibrations. A text, I'll just get one. Or even, if you're playing a game on your phone, there'll be little effects where your phone buzzes. That's essentially what haptics is. So usually your phones will have one haptic motor. The OneCourt device has hundreds. So we're really able to get into sort of specifics, in terms of location, as well as different effects by, differing the pattern, intensity, or duration of the vibration. We're able to communicate different things. But yeah, essentially haptics is just that sort of vibration motor that you feel when you get a text.
Yeah, I have been using some AI accessible tools like the WeWalk Cane and other things, and the WeWalk Cane uses haptic technology as well. And at first when I heard of haptic technology, I was like, wait, what? And so, but then someone actually reminded me, much like you, Simon, that haptic technologies actually been around a lot longer than you think through the cell phone use and other things. So it's good to finally kind of harness that kind of technology and implement it in a device like OneCourt. Um, so my next question to you, Bree, is this. Can you give an explanation a little bit for our audience where the inspiration for OneCourt came from?
Mm-hmm. So one of our co-founders, Jared, he sparked this idea for OneCourt. And he had actually watched a video of a blind soccer fan enjoying a game with a sighted individual tracing his hands on the surface of a game board. Um, I think it's often referred to as tactile signing. So using a tactile board and moving hands along it to understand the live soccer play. And so Jared had thought, wow, like this is a fantastic dimension to experience sport through touch. But he also noticed that the experience wasn't independent. The fan was requiring someone else to be sitting with him and tracing his hands along. And so Jared really wanted to use technology to make this experience independent and intuitive and ultimately fun, like as live as possible, so that when the whole crowd cheers, a fan using OneCourt knows exactly what just happened and can cheer as well. So that was the initial inspiration. He had worked on it, I want to say, for anywhere from 3 to 6 months on his own and tinkered with different ideas. Were we going to use haptic motors? Were we going to use other technology? And settled on haptics as a really intuitive way to understand spatial details, like where a ball might be on a court. But he quickly realized that he needed a team to be able to build this, and he wasn't going to be able to do it on his own. He's an industrial designer by trade. So he was thinking about the device and the interaction of the user in the device, but he wanted to bring on folks in software, in hardware, in business, hence where Simon comes in, and to really bring this from an idea to a product to eventually a company. OneCourt just had our 2-year anniversary of being incorporated as a company. So it's pretty incredible to see from 2021, when Jared first thought of this idea, to now where it's come.
Yeah, speaking from a blind person who has gone to a sports bar or two with a sighted friend, when you're listening to the radio and you're trying to, keep up with the sporting event, sometimes the radio is about 30 seconds to a minute delayed. And so you're hearing the bar cheer, but you have no idea what had happened, but that something is about to happen. So that is kind of amazing in that perspective. Simon, can you talk about a little bit about how this kind of device will be available for people that are blind and visually impaired, both now and going forward?
Yeah, so right now we actually just wrapped up our NBA season. We were activated with 5 teams in the NBA. It was fantastic. It was great to see for us to start to, be able to spread this technology around the league. Going forward, we're looking to get into baseball for this season currently, which is super exciting. And then going forward for us, our real goal is to bring this at home. Our mission is to make live sports more accessible, and it's, for me at least, I watch most of the sports from my couch. It's hard to get off that couch on a Sunday. So if we're able to bring this experience to people at home, that's really our goal. Yeah. And then Bree,
So
did you have anything to, sorry, I was
go
just
ahead,
gonna ask
Bree.
if Bree, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the only thing to add is, Joe, you mentioned the sports bar. And I think when we talk about the at-home experience, we're thinking about anywhere that's not the venue. So we're thinking about your friend's house, your house. We're thinking about your favorite sports bar. The idea is that you could take this device anywhere with you and experience the game at whatever broadcast, your friends or family might be watching or listening to as well. So we can sync up to that experience so that you're right in tandem with them. Exactly that experience you described at the sports bar. So we've done some early testing with that sports watch party
Yeah.
model, and it's been a lot of fun to bring not just blind and low vision fans, but their loved ones into the mix as well.
Yeah, because I could tell like my friend, he enjoyed going to sporting events with me when I had sight, and now it's different. It's a different experience now that I don't, and I still have kind of pivoted what that means to be a sports fan. And he is a person that sees it as okay. He should enjoy it just as much as I am. And, when he's kind of getting a gist of the game, whether, there's booze raining down in the bar or cheers, he kind of knows what's going to happen before it happens in his feed. So yeah, that's amazing. Um, Simon, can you talk a little bit? You brought up about 5 NBA teams. Can you talk a little bit about where One Court is as far as availability, like what teams
Hmm.
have it, what are and what leagues have it?
Hmm. Yeah, so for last year, we had the Portland Trailblazers, which is actually the closest NBA team to us in Seattle. It's where we started. We actually did a testing with them initially the season prior. So we were down there. We were down in LA at the Clippers venue for their last couple games of the season, which was fantastic. We were over in Brooklyn with the Nets. We were down in Sacramento with the Kings and Phoenix with the Suns.
And what leagues is it just basketball, or are you guys involved in other leagues
Hmm.
too?
Yeah, so right now we have agreement to use the NBA's data, which is why we're in the NBA, and we're currently working on getting basketball or baseball as well for this season. But it definitely doesn't stop there. Of course, our sights are set on the NFL, NHL, or any professional league around. I would love if we could get the Prem, but really just being able to provide this in any sports venue is our goal.
So, that being said, I'm going to say something to Bree and Simon that they may or may not know. But it was an announcement that was made about a month ago that the American Council for the Blind and the NFL have partnered up to make the NFL experience more accessible for people that are blind and visually impaired. Now, they didn't go into details, but Brie, I'll ask you as a person that reaches out to many of these organizations and whatnot. What does that relationship between or potential budding relationship between the American Council for the Blind and the NFL, what does that do as far as opening up possibilities for One Court for the NFL?
It's huge. I mean, national organizations like ACB do a phenomenal job of advocacy. I mean, there's many things that ACB and other organizations do, but advocacy is a strong point. And I think we, from the beginning, have wanted to align ourselves and support the advocacy work that's happening across the country and beyond, because we believe access is a right. Like, access to live sports should be a standard. And so that's why we want devices in every venue. And so to see that type of partnership at the league level with an organization as large as ACB is super encouraging. Just following that announcement, we are invited to speak at a sports and entertainment panel that ACB is running later in June in prep for their national convention that'll happen in July. And
Mhm.
so I'm really grateful that ACB sees us as a partner and someone that's pushing the game forward, and we want to contribute to that same mission. And so, though I don't know yet the details of the projects that they're working on, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I would love for it to be in all aspects of the experience, everything from descriptive audio to haptics to just the broader fan experience. I've heard from so many fans that one court solves a real pain point of once a fan sits in their seat and can experience the game. But there's so many other parts of the live experience that can have friction or be challenging or frustrating. Everything from buying your ticket to getting to the venue to finding your seat. Like there's so many little moments in between. And I think the more and more we've been activating live in venue, I've started to realize how many little moments of friction there can be. So I'd love to also work on those pieces as well. And every team we've worked with in the NBA has wanted to continue to increase that fan experience, which has been really encouraging.
Yeah, it is very encouraging. And, especially when you say that there's so much more to the live experience. I even think about like with Citizens Bank Ballpark here in Philadelphia, and the fact that there are so many different things you can do around the ballpark, and being able to have that live experience just in the ballpark itself, and being able to, enjoy the game itself. The idea that it gives a little bit more of a, okay, I can take the family to the game and still enjoy myself. I can pay that amount of money and invest that amount of money and still enjoy myself. So that is a huge, huge deal. And just as a tidbit for those people out there that watch me and James frequently, me and James will be starting, as Bree had described, mentioned that me and James are going to be starting a project called Sports Audio Description. And we're hoping to be able to do live audio description for people that are visually impaired or blind during live sporting events. And so, that, like Bree said, like that kind of goes hand in hand with the live experience of live sports.
100%.
So go ahead, Bree.
I completely agree with it going hand in hand. And there's something a fan said to me the other day that really stuck with me. They said, it's one thing for me to attend a game, and it's another thing for me to feel included in the game or included in that experience. And there's, I think, currently a gap between attending and feeling like someone belongs in that environment. And so I think any step towards increasing that access is incredible.
All right, so Simon, for my next question, I get really into brass tacks, and I think this might be in your wheelhouse. But the big bold question people want to know out there: how much is one court going to cost them?
hmm it's a great question, and right now we're still working on our sort of B2B model, as we call it, which is selling to sports teams and leagues. Especially as we start to hone in on what the device, our product offering is going to be, and how we can incorporate it. Like even from last year, we added interaction. Now it has buttons and tutorials. So we're still pinpointing down exactly what we're going to offer to people at home. So for us, it's going to really come down to keeping up with more research, making sure that we're talking with fans and sports teams, and being able to produce something that is affordable and is able to come in and do exactly what we want it to do, right? Make live sports enjoyable. So right now, for the direct to consumer option, we don't have a specific price point pinned down. We're still doing a lot of research, not only just as to what's affordable, but also what we can provide for users. So there's a lot more work to do, Joe, and you're exactly right. It is in my wheelhouse. That is something I'm working on every day to figure out.
So I would like to know, either Simon or Bree can answer this. But what would be the difference for a person out there now? One court will be available. The goal is for one court to be available at the stadiums for people that are blind or low vision to use. But there's the option of being able to have a home device, like Brian mentioned earlier. So, my question is, what really will be the difference? Will there be like a more of a lag come when from the home edition in difference to the live one, to the in stadium one? Like, what is there a difference? Is someone going to lose a bit of quality within their experience from the home to the in stadium one?
Yeah, it the physical device shouldn't look too different. It'll be sort of in the functionality and internals. So when we think about, they're two fundamentally different experiences. One, you prioritize getting the information as fast as humanly possible right away. At home, it's the TV is already delayed 30 seconds up to a minute. So you want the ability to sort of sync, is what we like to call it. So
Yeah.
synchronize your device with what's happening on the TV. And I don't know, we've all been to a bar where, I don't know, one of the TVs outside is 10 seconds ahead of the TV inside. And, so we want to make sure that the user has the ability to set that themselves, because we know, with TV broadcast, there can be a little bit of wiggle room. So there's that, and then there's also the connectivity piece.
Yeah.
At a stadium, when you're prioritizing speed, it's really important to have great connection, and that can come through either 5G or Wi-Fi. So those devices will be 5G and Wi-Fi enabled and be using the best connection possible to reduce latency. When you're at home, the latency becomes less of an issue because you're already operating with that delay, and the users at home might not want to pay additional money to have cellular connection to a device that they could just have Wi-Fi for.
Right.
So the fundamental differences isn't necessarily, our goal isn't necessarily to reduce quality. It's just to cater them to the environments that they're operating in. Anything to add there, Bree?
No, that's great.
So, one of the next questions I have is for you, Bree. So, how can people out there that are listening get in touch with One Court or help One Court's mission to get to where it wants to go?
hmm The best way to get in touch with us is through our website. I think that's how you found us, Joe, after
Yes.
All Star Week. So our website is onecourt.io. So ONECOURT.io. And on our website, we have information about the device. We'll update what teams we're going to be at for the upcoming sports seasons. And it gives fans the option to join our newsletter or waitlist. And so, our newsletter, you'll get regular updates from us on what we're up to, kind of like a curtain behind the scenes. We're pretty candid in our newsletters with fans to keep them up to date. And then the waitlist is really a fan's opportunity to say, hey, I'm really excited about this technology. When you launch at home, I want to be the first to have that device. From that waitlist pool, we invite fans to games when we get tickets, so that live experience, but also we're going to launch our pre-order. And so that will give fans the opportunity to place that order, that spot to get that device. And so we have some big goals on that waitlist number. We as a startup, we set big goals, we work towards them. And so for us, when we show a big waitlist number, that shows that there's community demand for the device. And so we share that waitlist number. We might go to a team that we want to launch with in Philly and say, hey, we have X number of fans from Philly that want this device. There is fan demand. Let's bring devices to your venue. And every team we've done that with has been a huge success. That's why we launched in Phoenix. That's why we launched in Sacramento, because there was community demand. So that's the best way to help us. And then tell friends and family, sighted, blind, low vision, visually impaired. We just want to get the word out that we exist. And our mission is to make live sports accessible. And I think anyone who hears that mission gets behind it.
Absolutely. And I'm on that wait list. So believe me, I'm excited for what One Court can bring to that live sporting experience, and how it can enhance like someone like myself who does a sports podcast and being able to interact with the game a little bit more detailed. So that is a very exciting situation. Um, well, to conclude, I'm going to ask this question to both of you, and I'll start with you, Simon, and then I'll follow up with you, Bree. What is next for One Court in your mind? Like, what do you think is on the horizon that we can all kind of look forward to as fans of One Court?
Yeah, for us, the next thing to do is spread across these major sports leagues in the U.S. and hopefully globally. So in these upcoming months, we're focusing on baseball, and for me, selfishly, I would love soccer to be right after that. There's obviously the World Cup coming in 2026, so it'd be amazing to be able to provide some sort of experience for that. But for us, yeah, I mean, upcoming, hopefully, you can look forward to One Court coming to a stadium or arena near you, regardless of your preferred sport. Whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, football. So those are our immediate goals, and then going from there, like we mentioned, get it One Court on the couch at your home. So those are our immediate goals that we can working towards every day. Bree, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's a great summary. I think what's next for us and what I'm so excited for is just for more hands on device, more fans to feel it. Because Simon and I can sit here and chat with you both and everyone listening about, the value of the device or describe it, but like until you feel it, like there's something pretty magical when you get your hands on it and you're synced up to the live experience. And so as we grow, that just means more opportunities for hands on device. So we have some trips coming up. We're traveling to different cities to do demos and watch parties and attend conferences and any opportunity we get for fans to try it before even they get to a live venue or before we get to at home. So I think even though we have those big goals of the venue and of the at home, there's going to be other ways as well to try it. And if there's opportunities, people want us to come out to their city, let us know.
So, what are some of the upcoming cities you will be coming through?
So this weekend, I'm going to be in Vancouver, Washington, not too far from where we are in Seattle, at one of the state conventions. And then coming up, we have the national conventions in July, which are a little bit far out. So ACB and NFB are on our horizon. We boothed at the NFB National Convention last year. And then in between there, we're hoping to do some watch parties related to NBA. There's Summer League coming up in the summer for NBA. Of course, MLB. There's multiple teams that we're in discussion with right now to be in their venue.
153465243.
Sorry.
Double tap to answer. Button.
Okay.
Call.
No.
Yeah, so those cities and those teams are still being confirmed. But I have a list of events, and Simon and I literally this week we're trying to narrow it down on where we can go and when, because there's only so many of us and so many opportunities.
Well, it sounds amazing. And again, I hope that you guys come in our neck of the woods sometime soon, because I'm very much looking forward to trying this device out and, kind of starting the journey back into enjoying sports back the way that I used to. I feel like, honestly, the feedback you've gotten from people, Bree, is 100% accurate. Is that there's more to a sporting event than just listening to it. It's feeling it through, what's going on, being able to see with your fingers and being able to utilize that in a way where you can kind of keep up with the people you're around. Because let's face it, sports is is an amazing social event that sometimes within that social event, you want to belong, you want to fit in, you want to be able to keep up with whatever everyone else is seeing. And someone told me a long time ago when I first lost my sight that we live in a sighted world, and people that are blind are always playing catch up. And this is a way, in my mind, for One Court is a way for a person like myself to really play a significant catch-up game to those people that are enjoying sports with full sight. So I thank all of your team. Um, and I'm going to say we're going to wrap this interview up. And I would love to thank Bree and Simon from One Court for coming out and making the time to talk to us today about this amazing device. And once again, you want to check out their website at onecourt.io. That's ONECOURT.io. Go check them out. Get a part of their newsletter. Get involved. This is something that if you know a person or have a family member that is blind or it has trouble seeing at live sporting events, this is a device that will help them and it will bring them into the experience. So once again, I want to thank Simon and Bree for joining us. And that's all we have for right now. Join us next week on the Patterson Ave Sports Show. And until then, see you later.